on, girl, let's scream.
I am a god.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel. This is the part where you run.
Come on, scream.
Hello and welcome to Let's Scream, a podcast where we dive into our favorite horror movies. I'm Parker.
And I'm Stevie.
And today we're looking at 2024's Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez.
Join us as we journey to the Romulus and learn even more about the alien.
Alien. Girl, are you ready to scream?
Come on, girl. Let's scream.
Well,
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Oh, my goodness. Parker, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I'm on like my fitness journey.
Okay.
I'm feeling a little bit like Sue from The Substance.
Okay.
Gotta pump it up a little bit.
You're inspired by last week's episode.
Yeah. What about you, girly?
Well, I probably should be better about working out, so maybe that'll be one. But you know what? I'm looking forward to screaming even more this year.
I'm gonna scream so much this year, yeah. Also, like That's Dumbo.
Sorry if you can hear my dog, y'all.
That's Stevie's dog, Dumbo. He's whining. Hopefully it won't be too much of a distraction.
And he's not whining because I'm recording right now. It's because you're recording right now.
He loves me.
He's obsessed with Parker. Like, Parker's his best friend.
He wants to know exactly where I am at all times.
Yep.
And he's a good boy. He's a sweetheart.
Yes.
But yeah, one of my resolutions this year is more just like a goal for the podcast. I want to get this shit monetized. Every year, that's going to be my goal.
Until it happens.
So,
oh, please, I need money and I want a new job.
I know, right? I want to just do this as my job. We have fun doing this. And I feel like people listen to this that don't like engage with it.
Yes.
Like people will tell me, oh, like I listen to the podcast. I'm like, oh, you do? I don't see a comment.
Engage. If you are listening to this right now, please engage. Just leave us a comment. Tell us your New Year's resolution down below.
Yeah. So that's kind of my goal for this year.
Yeah. That's a good goal. I think I think it's achievable.
I hope so. Comment. Because people don't realize that, like, you have to leave comments so that we are able to be seen and, like, discoverable by more people.
Leave comments, engage, share.
Yeah.
It would be very helpful to all of us.
Okay, also, I want to kind of preview this a little bit. We've been talking about doing, like, just a more traditional podcast type series, I guess, spin-off show of Let's Scream, where, like, we share stories and we're just chatting, and let us know if you want that. I feel like that would be fun for us.
Yeah, I'll do that, like, once a month or every few
episodes.
episodes.
We've been talking about doing that, like, once a month. So let us know if you have any ideas. Let us know if you have any topics you want us to cover for that. If you have a name, we haven't named that segment yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Trying to stay in theme with Let's Scream, but the best I could come up with was Let's Talk.
Let's talk. I kind of like Let's Talk.
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Maybe it'll be called Let's Talk. And I also thought like let's speak, because we're Let's Scream. Let's speak.
Let's speak.
Let's speak. I don't know. Let us know if you guys have any ideas. But anywho, we are covering Alien Romulus today. I really liked this one.
I did too. I was excited for this one because I knew it was being promoted with, it was using a lot of practical effects. And the practical effects are very great in this.
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, it's very well done.
Yes.
And really fun story.
Yeah. I noticed there's some criticism and there's some I have towards it, but then there's a lot I like about this film. I think all the performances are phenomenal.
Yeah, especially Dora.
She plays Kay.
Isabela Merced.
She is
the standout.
So good. Yes, she absolutely is the standout. Her character, Kay goes through it, y'all.
She goes through it, bitch.
Kay has a life.
I love her. I love that she played Dora and now she's doing horror.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what else she does. Like, she's great.
She's iconic. Like, we'll get into
the range.
But her range is insane.
She has the range.
She has the range. Like, she has Mariah Carey levels of range, but just, like, an acting.
Yes.
Acting-wise.
Yes. some people say she has a 6-octave acting range. I've even heard 7.
I've even heard 7. Today I didn't think I could give you
It's
1.
so early. I don't think I can give you 1.
But yeah, really good suspense building. Like, there's so many tense scenes, and it reminds me so much of the first movie.
Yes. There's a lot of calls to the first one, which I know some people had a criticism with. They felt this one went too nostalgia-based, but I don't feel that way.
There's only one part that I don't like, where I felt like, okay, we didn't need to say the exact thing from the movie.
I guess I didn't catch that line.
We'll get into it.
Okay.
But other than that, no, I think that this is really good.
Also, I'm gonna be real. Alien movies have all kind of the same setup. And they all usually have the same kind of climax at the end. Like, I'm sorry, Aliens has the exact same climax as the first one. And then it's very similar to this one. So I don't get mad at that.
We got to talk about it. And we brushed on it when we covered the first movie. I don't like any of the Alien sequels.
I know you don't.
I don't like Aliens. I thought that one was too actiony. I thought that the
Characters were very
storytelling
unlikable.
was so slow. And yeah, I thought that the characters were very unlikable. And that's most people's favorite Alien sequel.
I don't get it.
And
I watched
that
it.
one's never been for me.
Because I watched it after this one, because I'd never seen it.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't. I was like, this is not as good. I was like...
Alien Romulus is the best Alien sequel. I think that it reminded me so much of the first movie as far as it being truly about the horror, about the suspense. It does have some good action sequences.
Yes.
That do remind me of Aliens.
But they're all very suspenseful still, I
they're
think.
still very tense, very horror focused. And
There's also, like, what I like about it, and we'll get into some of the moments, I just think I love when the characters are just really smart and come up with a really cool solution to shit, and you're like, fuck yeah.
great characters,
Like,
smart
they're
characters.
none of them are really stupid, which I like.
Very well written.
Unlike Aliens, where everyone except for
obnoxious.
Ripley is stupid.
That, like, Bill Paxton guy, so I hated his character in Aliens.
They're all unlikable. There's just not a
Yeah.
likable cast.
But yeah, no, I definitely think it's the Alien Romulus is my favorite sequel. Very refreshing entry in the franchise.
Yes,
It makes
yes,
me,
absolutely.
excited to be an Alien fan again. And then also, I've been playing Alien Isolation recently with Travis. Like, we'll switch on and off, and that's been so fun. Like, and you can even see how that video game, because apparently Fede Alvarez, the director, was playing Alien Isolation
When he came up with
when he came up with the idea for this, and like you can really tell, like, especially in the suspense building, the sound design, and
sound design is so good in this movie.
yeah, it's so good, and all of the like cool homages to the original movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, that's all I have to say about it so far before we get into the spoilers.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I like this movie. I think it's great. It's on Hulu.
Okay, well, are you ready to scream, girl?
I'm ready to scream, girl.
All right, come on, girl. Let's
scream.
So, we open on a spaceship. Okay? Because, you know, it's Alien. It's Alien Romulus, of course. And the opening credits are in that same font from the original Alien movie.
Yep.
Everything feels very accurate to how it was in the first Alien movie, which I really appreciate.
Yep.
Even the technology, the
Yep.
old school, like, 70s computers.
Yep.
Love that. This spaceship is sifting through the wreckage of the Nostromo, which was Sigourney Weaver's ship.
Which self-destructed.
In the first movie. And this spacecraft obtains a fossilized rock.
And
which
we see
it's taken aboard this other ship with scientists who use this laser to cut open the rock, and they like pull out what's inside. We don't see what was inside, but the camera pans over and we see that in the rock there's the imprint of the xenomorph.
So they fucked up. It was at this
Yep.
moment we knew they fucked up.
Yep. And like there's like all these strings and like spooky opera singing happening.
Yes.
Like the soundtrack in this is really good.
Yes.
And I thought that it just like, ooh, gives me chills right away. It's like, oh, I already like where this is going. We're already in a horror vibe.
Yes.
So then we meet our main characters, a brother-sister duo, Rain and Andy, who live on this planet that has been completely overtaken by the company Wayland Utah.
Their sibling, like them being siblings, it's a big theme of this movie, the sibling relationship, which is why
Yeah.
we'll get into it, but the name Romulus is very important.
Yeah, Romulus and Remus.
Remus,
Tail,
right.
Romulus and Remus.
Yep.
And all of our characters in this are like brother-sister duos.
Yes. Yes.
So Andy is very socially awkward. He constantly tells dad
jokes. Which I
are
love.
good. He had some really good ones.
He has a seafood diet. When he sees food, he eats it.
He eats it. Yeah, shit like that. Rain is trying desperately to leave this planet because it has been completely overtaken by the company Weyland-Yutani, which is the company in all these alien movies.
Yeah.
She wants to travel to this planet called Yavaga, which is a place that hasn't been overtaken by the company.
Independent.
And apparently you can actually see the sun on that planet.
Yes.
And she loves the sun. She has been trapped on this dusty, rainy planet, and shit sucks. She goes to talk to some clerk lady who works for the company. And
She's completed her, like, I think it's like 12,000 hours of mandatory work.
yeah, because basically human beings are just slaves for
Yeah.
the company on this planet. And the lady tells her, there's been a shortage of workers, so you have to stay and work in the mines.
Your time's
for
actually
another 5
doubled,
years.
so you're going to be here about 5 or 6 more years, so have
Yeah.
fun. And she's
Yeah,
like, are you fucking
It's
kidding me?
fucked up. We also learned that her parents died 3 years ago due to lung exposure from working in the mines. So no wonder there's a shortage of fucking
People are
workers.
fucking dying.
Yeah, everyone's dying being in the mines. So they're basically trapped here. Right as she's finishing this conversation with this woman, Andy is getting beaten up by some teens, like shitheads, and he starts twitching and tweaking, and he starts bleeding that cummy, milky substance.
So we learn
So he's an android.
which kind of explains his awkwardness.
Yeah.
Why he is the way he is.
And do you think his name is Andy because he's literally Andy the android?
Probably. Probably.
I kind of like that. That's camp. She treats him like a brother, though, and we learn that her dad kind of left this android behind and programmed it to take care of
like
her.
his final command call was to do what's best for Rain.
That's like
It's
his
like that's-
main directive, pretty much. Yeah, so that's why he tells dad jokes. It's to comfort her and remind her of her dad.
Yeah.
She gets a call from an old friend, this British guy, hottie, named Tyler, who apparently maybe they used to date. It's never, clear, but, I think that's what we're supposed to gather. He invites her over, and we meet his friend group.
He says a really good joke to Andy. He's like, why did the miner fall down the well? And Andy's like, why? And he's like, because he couldn't see that
Couldn't
well.
see that well.
And Rain's like, please don't encourage him.
Don't encourage
But
him.
I love all the character relationships in this too. It feels like an actual friend group. It feels like it's...
And they're young.
And they're young.
And it's three groups of siblings.
Keep in mind, so were the people on the Nostromo, but people in the 70s looked so much older.
True, yeah. That's like a whole thing of how styling influences how we see people and their
aging.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also, I will say, health-wise and skincare-wise, generations are looking younger now.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
that
the
makes
big... We just know how to
sense,
take
too.
care of our skin better, too, and ourselves physically, so...
That makes sense, yeah. And all this whole friend group is 3 groups of siblings. Yeah, so obviously you have Rain and Andy, who we talked about.
Yes.
We have Tyler and his sister, Dora!
AKA Kay.
It's
she's...
Isabela Merced. I'm going to call her Dora in this outline.
Her name is Kay.
But it is Kay, but I just think it's funny to call her Dora.
Because, girl, it's her.
It's Dora, bitch.
So... I love her.
Yeah, she's
so
Tyler's sister. She's a sweet girl. And then they have a cousin duo, brother-sister duo that's cousins with them. Bjorn, who is a straight-up asshole. He's the worst character. He's very much can't wait to see this guy die.
Yeah.
He's a total shithead. We hate him. His sister is Navarro, who is this bad bitch Asian lesbian girl with a shaved head.
Yeah.
Love her.
She's great.
Tyler explains that he invited Rain over because he wants her help. So they found this on the satellite. They found that there is this abandoned Weyland-Yutani ship called the Renaissance. Mm-hmm. drifting around in space nearby that has these sleeping chamber pods on board that they can use to enter cryosleep and journey to Yuvaga, the
Because
dream
it's
planet.
about 9-year journey, and they cannot make it without being in stasis.
Cryostasis. And that's the only reason why they're relying on the company to leave and get out of there, is because the company's gonna be the only one that has those cryopods. So they need Rain's help because they actually want to use Andy for his android ness
To get them in.
He's the only one who's going to have security access into the ship, since he's a Weyland-Yutani branded robot, and he can connect with Mother, which is what they call AI.
That's their the system that runs all the ships.
It's like the computer. In
It's like their
Alien
Mac
franchise.
OS.
Mac OS. It's like Siri.
It's like Siri. It's their Siri.
It's Alexa. Bjorn makes comments about Andy not being her real brother and being an android.
Yeah. He's kind of just being such an ass.
He's basically racist to androids.
Yeah. Because this is an allegory for racism.
Androids always have been an allegory for racism in the Alien franchise. But this is actually the first android played by an actual black man.
So, before we realized the whole android thing, it really just come off as I'm just this guy because he's black.
It is kind of oh my god.
Oh my god.
Or just casual racism.
What?
Okay. He is being a shithead. It pisses off Rain. She starts to leave, but Tyler convinces her to stay and help. And he says, this company isn't going to give us anything. We have to take it. I don't want to end up like our parents. And we learn that him and Kay's parents died in the mines, and the cousin's parents died in the mines. And so there's basically no way out. They're going to have to hijack this ship, basically.
Yeah.
But Rain sees some coal miner workers pass by while he's saying this, and they're carrying a literal caged bird to symbolize how she feels on this planet. I love when there's caged birds in movies. I just think it's the most obvious thing you can do, but it makes me smile.
I know why the caged bird
sings. The caged bird sings because I don't know why the caged bird sings.
Why does a caged bird sing?
The caged bird sings, darling, because I don't know why the caged bird sings, darling.
So they blast off in their ship, and as they enter hyperspeed, Bjorn shows off the gravity stuff that's going on by smoking this cigarette, and it burns out in 2 seconds. It was giving very Romeo and Michelle, Heather Mooney.
Yes. They had that quick burning paper.
The quick burning paper.
So
2 times the speed for a girl on the go.
Place in the same universe as Romeo and Michelle?
I mean, Romeo and Michelle takes place in every universe. It's
so
multi-universal.
It's so true. That's a great movie. Go listen to our Romeo and Michelle podcast.
Please. It's the best movie. So they break away from the atmosphere and they enter space. Rain is super excited to finally see the sun after years, and they spot the spacecraft that they're after, but realize that there's this meteor belt, or is it asteroid belt? Meteor belt?
It's an asteroid belt, because a meteor is like a shooting star.
Shooting star. Okay, it's an asteroid belt.
Very inaccurate depiction of an asteroid belt, but every space movie hasn't. Because the thing is, asteroid belts, they're miles apart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not clustered like this. Ever.
See, I don't know. I never really got into space science. As an adult, I find it way more fascinating than when we were kids.
Oh yeah, no, space is so cool.
It's
I
really
think
cool.
I learned about a planet that's obviously billions of light years away, but it rains sideways there, and it rains mercury, and it goes so fast that basically it'd be if you were on it, it'd be in a blender.
Oh shit, that's wild.
Space is crazy. Did you know that the moon is going to eventually explode?
No way.
Because it gets closer and farther away. The way it works, it gets closer and farther away from our planet, and then in a couple billion years, it's going to get so close that it's going to explode in the impact, and it's going to give Earth a ring.
Oh my god.
But we don't know what's going to happen.
Where's Sailor Moon when you need her?
I know.
She's got to save the moon.
She's going to save the Moon Kingdom.
Damn. Do you think the moon is just tired of hitting people's eye like big pizza pies, so it's just giving up?
I thought we had something special, so knowing that she's going to commit suicide...
That's crazy.
It devastated me. I was
She's
wow.
She's literally life is not worth it.
She's I'm going to do it soon.
She's threatening us. I mean, good for her. Good for her. She's done a lot. She's done so much.
And then the sun's gonna explode one day.
Oh, well, see, that's inevitable.
Yep.
Which is horrible, but inevitable.
Yeah, people are gonna die. It's just terrible, but like, inevitable?
But yeah, so there's this asteroid belt that the ship is slowly creeping towards, and it will be crushed by the asteroid belt in roughly like 36 hours.
Yeah.
So they have 36 hours to do this shit.
Okay. A little over day.
That should be fine,
Day
right?
and a half, right?
So Andy goes with Bjorn, who keeps talking about bowls. Did you notice this? He was like, do you want me to show you my bowls?
Hey, calm down.
Like, what was this? Also, he's saying that to his cousin. Weird. Why is incest a porn category? That's
Girl, there's a lot of problem with porn categories.
T. I just think that that's so fucked up. Anyway, that's a whole other episode. I don't know
We can do that for one of our Let's Talk episodes.
Yeah, maybe that's a Let's Talk.
Let's discuss incest in porn.
Yeah. But yeah, Tyler and Bjorn and Andy go into the Renaissance, which is separated in two sections. We have Remus, and we have the other side of the ship, Romulus.
Yep.
So boom, that's why it's called Alien Romulus.
Yes.
Andy is successfully able to...
And the Romulus is the science, like the laboratory side of the ship. Whereas I'm assuming probably the
Remus is probably like cargo or some shit.
cargo or probably just like the like living quarters and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we learned like there's like space colonies.
Yeah, so Andy is successfully able to get them inside by putting his finger inside a hole on the control panel, and it like unlocks the door. The butthole vents make a reappearance.
Hell yeah.
And they crawl through the buttholes. Okay, I've been playing a lot of Alien Isolation.
Have you found the alien in the butthole vent?
And no, we haven't done that one yet, where it's like in the vent.
Well, no, I think it could just be at any time. Because I've seen people like talk about the game. They're like, girl, I played the whole game not realizing they could be in the vent.
No, it hasn't like found us in the butthole vents,
Okay,
but
that's good.
it has been really fun to just like be like, oh, let's crawl on this butthole, because they really do just look like buttholes. Yeah,
It winked at me.
it winked, bitch. It's giving winks. So they're like crawling through the buttholes, and they realize that they're in zero gravity when they see a dead rat floating through the vent, but then gravity kicks in and it falls down. And apparently the ship has to activate gravity every 30 minutes or so to prevent it from exploding.
Yeah.
They float their way through the ship, and they find the pods that they need, but the pods don't have enough fuel. So they decide to take the pods with them, put it on their ship, and then fly to the other side of the Renaissance and explore further and see if they can find some more fuel. And then they see that there's some activity on the temperature gun. So they have an idea maybe there could be fuel in a specific room that they start making their way towards. Yeah. We learned that the reason why Bjorn is being such an asshole to Andy this whole time is because his mom was killed last year in the mines due to a decision made by an android.
Yeah, basically like close off an area that was dangerous or something, and they closed off with her behind it.
Yeah, so like androids are in this timeline becoming more and more advanced, and they're being given more power. Mm-hmm. But I think Andy's like an old AI. He's like an old version, so he's not as aggressive as the other androids are. And we also learned that Miss Dora is pregnant.
Yeah.
She has to go throw up when they are taking off.
Yeah.
And she makes Rain promise not to tell Tyler. And she says, like, I don't know who the father is. He's some asshole. Da, 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 da.
Damn.
Yeah. Bjorn gets annoyed by Andy's dad jokes. And he reveals that androids aren't allowed on Yavaga, the planet they're going to. So once they get there, they have to leave him behind. And Rain knew that was what was going to happen. Yeah. And he clearly looks like sad, but then he says, that's okay. What's best for Rain is what's best for me. Yeah. And Rain feels so guilty because her and Dora and Navarro are chilling in their ship.
Yeah, while the boys and Andy are exploring.
But she can see it on the camera.
Yes.
Like, they're monitoring everything that's going on. Yes. So she just feels, like, really fucking guilty. And they discover a lab which had a hole burned into the ground. and an android is lying there having had its lower body, like, exploded off.
Yeah.
They try to enter the next room, but the door won't open all the way and they have to crawl through. And the floor is flooded, like maybe 2 feet of water in this room.
Yes. And this is something I'm going to bring up. I don't want your opinion on it, but we'll see when we get to, like, in it later. So keep in mind, there is, probably, like, a foot of water on the ground. So
That they're, like, trotting around in. And luckily, they find enough fuel in this room to get them to Yavaga.
Yep.
But as they go to pull it down, Bjorn's fingers get frozen. Like, it has, like, this highly controlled temperature, cold air that emits from it, like, kind of like liquid nitrogen or something.
Yeah.
And it, like, freezes his fingers. He can't feel his fingers and he's freaking out. And then also an emergency lockdown is triggered. So, like, this alarm starts to go off and the red light's flashing. And the door shuts and locks them in. And even Andy isn't able to gain access with his finger. So as they struggle to open the door, the camera pans over and we see the image of the face hugger on the monitor.
Yeah.
And this is where I think we're entering horror territory.
Yes.
And I was so excited because this is when shit starts to really
And it's
hit the
this
fan.
whole first sequence with the Hayes Huggers is so good.
It's great. Rain and Navarro go onto the ship to try and rescue the boys. And Rain comes up with the idea to remove the chip from that android, that half-destroyed android that's laying there.
And give it to
Andy, so they can install it in his neck, and then they can gain the security credentials to open the door. I'm really proud of myself for this outline because there was so much technical jargon.
And you got it all right.
And I'm kind of eating. Am I
You
not?
are. Girl, you sound smart.
I'm smart, bitch. Like, holy shit.
Everyone, you heard it here first. Parker is smart.
Okay, well, everyone knew that already, right? Like,
Yeah! Totally.
Okay, so, all right. So they do that and they put the chip in Andy's neck and then he goes into this like reboot mode.
Yes, because basically it has to install.
Has to install. And his eyes like roll back and he like freezes. And meanwhile, we get the real gag. The camera pans over again.
Bitch, the facehuggers are in the fucking room.
Yeah, there's like hundreds of face huggers. And they're like sealed up in little... Do you know what it reminded me of? Shop bags. Do you remember shop bags? Or space bags.
Yes.
Space
where you would
bags.
vacuum.
And the commercial was like, too much stuff. Not enough space.
Too much stuff. Not enough
space. And it's like vacuum sealed storage bags basically.
Yeah.
But they're up in here. It's like hundreds of them
sealed.
lining the back wall of this room. And we can see them like moving around in their little space bags, like all nasty. Then a couple of them manage to break out of the pods and begin to swim around in the water.
Yes.
And we get this crazy sequence of them trying to fight off the face huggers.
This is what I'm wondering. Because they have like these like... Bjorn has this tool that like it's like basically like a taser, like a rod taser.
Like a cattle prod, right?
Could they not have gotten like stepped out of the water and then just shocked the water?
Well, they're stupid.
That's true. Because that would have been I would have been like, everyone get out of the fucking water. We're gonna shock the fuck out of them.
Well, was there water like by the door? Like even if they like got out of the way, wouldn't they still be like?
Well, they stood up on the like the monitors and stuff. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I would have gotten up. Like you just have to get out of the water and then you can.
I see what you mean, but I think maybe like shit was just going too fast, and they couldn't.
I mean, like
that.
I wouldn't know what to do in that situation.
Well, this is especially like Bjorn, who we know is a fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
And then Tyler, I don't really think he's much smarter anyway.
Yeah.
So they're fighting off these face huggers, just like a shit ton of them.
Yes. And so Brain's like, shit, we gotta get them the fuck out.
And immediately Andy boots back up and like snatches
Like one's about
one
to like
up.
jump onto I think Tyler.
Yeah.
Or no, I think it's Bjorn.
Trying to like it's about to do the latch
to Bjorn,
onto
and
his
he
face.
just grabs it just in time by the tail.
Boom! And he's like in beast mode. Like he switches
And
up.
he just chucks it across the room.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's a fun
it's like
switch up.
yeah.
He's like no longer shy and
And this whole
awkward.
thing's suspenseful because you can see them swimming in the water. So you're like, oh my god.
It's so good. It's so exciting because at this point, you do kind of need to be creative with how you show the face huggers
Yes.
and how they're interacting with them. Because we've already seen a movie where no one knew what they were and it was just like a slow build. But that would be boring this time around.
Yeah, this one, it's like, no, we're going to get into it.
I
Y'all know what
like
this
that.
is. Y'all know what these are.
Yeah.
We're not going to play around with it.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, bitch, go listen to our Alien episode
Yeah.
on the first movie. Educate yourself. So yeah, Andy is in beast mode. He has new credentials, which they're able to get out of that room.
Yeah. Rain takes like a fire extinguisher trying to break down the glass, and Navarro's like, "Oh, they get out. They're trying to get out." She's like, "Fuck
Oh,
no,
fuck this."
we might have to leave." Like
Yeah.
she's kind of in her head thinking, "We're about to abandon these bitches."
Yeah.
Like,
and I like her. She's smart.
yeah, she knew that this was
She
fucked up.
Knew. So that, what you just said, makes it all the more tragic when
They get out and the door closes, but then the facehuggers break through the glass
through.
and they keep running and another door closes. One sneaks,
one is able
gets
to
through,
get through.
and Navarro turns and it latches onto her.
immediately hugs her face, bitch. And it's like, oh, because you know, if a bitch
Once
gets
it's-
face hugged,
It's over.
it's
Put
Jover.
a bullet through their head.
Yeah, it is so Jover for her, which
Yeah.
sucks because
She said
She was
the
cool.
cast- you're like, why couldn't it have been Bjorn?
right, exactly.
Everyone's like, why couldn't it have been Bjorn?
And I didn't even notice until after I watched this movie, but the poster for the movie literally already predicts her death because
it's her.
it's her with the face hugger wrapped around her. So like, yeah,
But then that makes it kind of okay that she's the first one. 'Cause
Right.
then it's not much of a spoil.
it's not much of a shock, right? So Andy now talks with a British accent, like how Ash does in the first movie.
And this is what we'll get into a thing I don't like in this movie.
Oh,
I don't like that they used Ian Holmes' like image. I don't like when movies use dead actors. I didn't like it when they did it with Carrie Fisher in Star Wars. I didn't like it here. I think it's kind of exploitative. For this, I understand why they do it because they wanted it to make like Ash is just a brand of these androids. So of course there's a bunch that look the same.
yeah.
I just don't. It's more just that actor is not with us. Ian Holmes is no longer with us. I just feel like it's very.
I totally agree with you. However, I did, because I felt the same way. I always think it's icky when they use the likeness of somebody who's passed away.
Yeah.
But I did see, because I wanted to look it up and do research, his wife and his whole family, like, all were, like, super down for it.
They gave permission.
And gave permission and said that he would have loved it and, like, all that kind of shit.
Okay.
So it made me feel better.
Okay.
I still think it's weird.
It's just a little.
And the fact that it's, like, clearly CGI based, too.
Yeah.
It would have been kind of cool if, like, they had just gone full animatronic and just done that, I guess. I don't know. Because then you could kind of make it look like him, but not exactly.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have felt as weird. But anyway,
It's just one of
yeah.
those things.
So what we're referring to is this character called Rook. So
He
now
was
that
the half android that we met earlier.
So the whole setup for Rook is that Andy has like this new AI in him and it's given him this upgrade and now his loyalty has switched. His directive is not to protect Rain, it's to do what's best for the company. And he won't let Rain remove the chip. He like grabs her hand and is like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And he tells them that the broken android might know what to do about Navarro, and they decide to prop it up and plug him into the computer to start him up. And yeah, he looks exactly like Ash from the first movie. And if you haven't seen the first movie, again,
You know Ash can't be trusted.
But Ash was the surprise android the whole time. That was the whole twist, is that he was working for the company and he fucked over Miss Sigourney. But yeah, this robot explains that his name is Rook, and he explains all about how the alien shit works. Basically, kind of recaps the first movie.
He mentions the Nostromo.
And
we learn that the Nostromo incident happened 20 years prior to to today. And so, for anyone who's seen the Alien sequel, that takes place 60 years after.
Yeah. So this is in between.
So this is in between. I don't know if
movie
any other
one and
films
movie
take place
two.
in between the two.
I don't think so.
So.
I'm pretty sure.
And I think that's why this one works really well. Mm-hmm. With, like, story and everything.
And they look over and they see the body of the OG xenomorph from the first movie hanging there.
Yeah.
And the reason why there's a giant hole in the floor is because when they killed it, its
Blood,
acid
blood.
blew up and soaked through the ship like how it did in the first movie. And yeah, it triggered this massive explosive decompression.
So...
Apparently
But we see some clips of, like, basically, we learn that they wanted it because they know it's a perfect specimen, the xenomorph, and its ability to survive in space. We get more on what they were truly trying to do later, but... So it's just kind of weird that it's like, oh, so they cloned all these fucking face huggers.
Yeah, they, like...
From its DNA.
Reverse bioengineered them. And so
just...
that's how they have all the face huggers in that one room, yeah.
Yeah.
So they come up
and
with
they didn't understand the, like, dangers of it. So, like, the xenomorph wreaked havoc and just killed everyone.
Yeah.
And then just the whole crew was just destroyed.
Yeah. So that's what happened to the Renaissance ship. And they come up with the idea to freeze the tail of the face hugger that's attached to Navarro. Because they're like, oh, if we freeze it, maybe we can remove it from her face and it won't strangle her with its tail. And it actually works. And they're able to get it off and they, like, zap the face hugger and it, like, crawls away. But Rook warns them.
Oh, it's too late.
It may have already finished its job by this point. Yeah. So Andy tries to stop Bjorn from escaping with Navarro onto their ship. And they manage to get on, and they start to fly away. But then Navarro starts tweaking out. This is maybe my favorite sequence in the movie.
It's so good.
One of them.
With her and Kay.
Fabulous. So, like, especially if you've seen the first movie.
We also need to keep in mind, Kay doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Kay has not been...
Dora's been napping, bitch.
She doesn't know what the fuck is going on at all.
So... This is so interesting how they do it because we obviously know what happens. It's going to burst out of her chest just like it did in the first movie to the one dude. But, like, the way that they add, like, an extra layer of suspense onto this because she's tweaking.
Kay doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
She's like, what the hell? Navarro gets this X-ray gun out of her backpack.
And puts it, like, behind her back, and we can see through
her body.
her ribs, and Kay's just like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, how clever to, like, introduce the concept of an X-ray gun so you can see through the body and see the chest burster in it. Like, that's already super cool. And then, yeah, the alien bursts out. Navarro falls over and kicks the steering wheel.
Well, before it even bursts out, she's, like, foaming at the mouth, and she looks at Kay, and she's like, please don't let me die. And Kay's like,
girl, what the hell?
She's like, bro, what the fuck?
And she accidentally kicks the steering wheel of the ship into high gear.
And it throws it off course.
To, like, drift and
Bjorn gets
crash
thrown
into the side of the Renaissance.
Off a ladder. Kay's getting chucked around. Oh, it's so good, this whole sequence.
And then, I'm sorry, that all happens, and then it finally bursts out of Navarro's chest. And there's a pause, and Dora, bitch, lets out the most iconic horror movie scream I have heard in years.
Yeah. It beats Jenna Ortega in X.
Oh, it surely.
And that is an iconic scream, but...
Oh my god. She's like a banshee. Isabela Merced.
I'm obsessed with her.
I'm obsessed with Dora. Give me more Dora and more movies, please.
This actress is amazing.
Well, because when I watched this for the first time and that scene happened, remember I texted you because you were like, how's Alien Romulus going?
Like, Dora's amazing.
And I said Dora ate. Because she did.
She ate. She eats this whole movie. She's the best character in the whole, like, hands down the best character in the whole movie.
100%. And she's not even the main character, but
but she is one you're rooting for, because as soon as you learn she's pregnant, you're like, oh, I want this bitch to make it.
She makes it.
I want this bitch to make it.
We'll see if she does.
Oh, it's so good. But then after Navarro kicked it into high gear, it then crashes in to like docking bay.
And it's like this big impact, and it causes the ship's access to be thrown off.
So they get a notification that says 45 minutes till impact. And they're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
I thought we had 30 hours. Nope, you have 45 minutes until the Renaissance smashes.
Andy reveals that it got knocked off its axis so badly that it's gonna now plummet into the asteroid field.
Yeah, so they're like, what the fuck do we do? They're desperate to get to the other side of the ship where the others are. And they realize that they have to sneak across a hallway covered in face huggers. This is one of my favorite sequences too.
And this is another expansion on the lore that I don't think hinders any of the films or anything like that. Because Andy reveals the way they track humans is through noise, but also through body temperature. So then Rain suggests, what if we turn up the temperature in that room to our body temperature? Will that work? And Andy's like, that's our best shot.
And then we'll just be quiet.
Yep.
So they, put it up to 98.6 degrees. So it's hot as fuck and they're sweating and it's super tense. They're walking through and you see the little face huggers peeking out, but don't notice them.
Did y'all hear that?
Yeah, they're like, oh,
Noise? No? Okay.
okay.
Just chill.
Oh, all right. I think, never mind. We're going to move on. Anyway. But then there's this big jump scare because Rain walks into a body from the previous crew that's hanging there all spooky. And that one made me jump. That was a good one. Back on their ship, Dora and Bjorn discover the shedded skin of the baby alien.
It's growing already.
And they find its cocoon attached to the wall nearby. A big xenomorph-sized cocoon. He decides to stick the cattle prod into it and just zap it while it's in the cocoon and see if that will work. But this plan backfires because the tail of the alien springs out and then stabs him through the eye.
Yeah.
Then acid blood spits out of the cocoon and drips all over Bjorn.
And he's done.
This was such a cool death scene.
Yeah, because nobody's ever really been killed by the acid.
No, and the acid
it melts through his chest, it burns off his hand.
His fingers are whittled to the bone in 0.5 seconds. It's so scary.
And then his chest, it gets to his chest and he just...
Yeah. And even though I hated this character and the whole time I was like, oh, I can't wait to see him go, this death was almost so
and Kay
brutal.
Just watches it.
Kay's freaking out. It's almost so brutal that it was oh, damn. No one deserves to go through that. It was crazy. Then the grown xenomorph begins to crawl out of the cocoon. She's here.
Oh, and Kay is like,
oh my god, she's freaking out. She has to get the door open. The key's on the ground, and so she doesn't see it at first.
This is when she calls them, right?
Yeah,
freaking.
They're trying to be quiet from the face huggers.
And then they get a call from her
on the walkie-talkie. She's making a bunch of noise, right?
Yeah.
She finds the keys and she's able to get out, but she trips and falls, and she lands really roughly on the platform below.
And it's such a good sequence.
Oh, what the fuck? Because she makes this big sound and it comes through on that walkie-talkie, and the face huggers are becoming aware of Rain, Andy, and Tyler in the hallway. Suspicious. And Andy literally goes, "Run!" You're right. Did you not think of the vine? Run!
Run!
And they're running. I think Tyler or Rain lights I can't remember who, lights a flare to throw it. It distracts them for 0.2 seconds.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, did it? And they're like, bitch.
Yeah. And Andy almost shuts the door on Tyler.
And they're like, Rain says, you almost shut the door on Tyler. And he's like, yeah, but I didn't.
I timed it perfectly.
Even better than last time.
And they're like, what the fuck? So she's starting to get suspicious. Oh, is Andy's loyalties changed?
Yeah.
Kinda. Should we trust him? And then back on their ship, Dora wakes up as the sprinklers turn on and it's quiet, and so it's giving very much an homage to my favorite scene from the first movie.
Yes.
Where the water's trickling down,
yes.
And I think Brent is his name, I can't remember his name, but the one guy is like, oh, it's all quiet, and he gets snatched up by the alien in that scene. But the alien nearly sees her, it lands on top of her. She's underneath this grate thing. Yeah. And it's really tense and she has to be really quiet, but it's giving very Alien Isolation vibes.
Yes.
Because it's all sound design and you hear it just kind of walk away. So she's like, okay, baby, I can go. She gets to the door, but without access, she can't open it. Tyler shows up on the other side with Andy and Rain, but Andy refuses to open the door
because we see the alien is on top of the ship just looking at them.
Looming over them.
And Andy's like, it's waiting for us to open the door.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it wants.
Yeah.
And Rain pulls Andy aside. He's like, she is pregnant. You need to open that fucking door now.
But he
and
can't
the
do
alien,
it.
Rain, oh, it's so good because, like, Kay is selling it.
Dora's eating, and she's, like, pounding on the, like, the little door. The little, like, you can see her through, like, the little window portal thing. And then she gets snatched.
We just hear it's kind of like a whoosh noise, and she just gets grabbed by its tail and pulled
I
up.
love when the alien just snatches bitches with its tail. It's so funny just to see. It's like a bungee cord, like,
Yeah.
and she just, like, disappears out of frame. It's so good.
Okay, I also want to point out, I love the costume designs, and I really like hers, because hers is very much like an ode to the workwear that Ripley wears. So it's like the little, like, suspender overall look. It is. She looks
it's
so cute.
giving very Ripley vibes, yeah. So, homegirl got snatched, damn diva down. Horrified, Rain is realizing that Andy has a new directive.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I gotta remove that chip from his neck. So, like, that's on her mind. She's like, we need to get the old Andy back.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to do that. They make their way through to this lab where Rook, the robot, explains to them through the intercom system that the scientists on this ship were using their research on the aliens to create this compound. It's like a black goo.
Yes, and so
this is in, I think, Prometheus.
it's this
It's introduced in
Prometheus.
that
I haven't
movie.
seen that one. But it restores cells and can basically, they show it on a rat that looked like it had been, like, smashed like a mouse, and they inject it and it completely, like, comes back to life.
Reforms itself. So they invented this so that it would allow humans to adapt more easily to space colonization.
And, like, space travel. Because they're basically, he's like, we can't wait for evolution.
Exactly.
Except he says evolution.
Evolution. Yeah, this all comes from Prometheus, I think. I've never seen that one, but I think way back in the day, I probably watched the Dead Meat Kill Count. Shout out to James and Chelsea from Dead Meat.
Hell yeah.
I love that channel. But I think something about, like, there's engineer people, which... Okay, so in the first movie... Do you remember when they go into that weird spooky ship and there's that, like, huge, like, human skeleton, but it's, like, massive?
Yeah.
Sitting in that throne. Okay, so I think that is an engineer. And engineers are these, like, godlike creatures, and, like, they created human beings, and they're giving very, like, Voldemort. They're baldies. They have blacked out eyes. Kind of look like another character we meet later in this movie. They created this, like, black goo thing. So it comes from them. That's what engineered the aliens, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But I know that this is all, like, an homage to that movie.
Okay.
To Prometheus. Yeah. So, realizing that the alien is now hunting them down because they can see it, like, tracking them on the security cameras. So like, oh, that motherfucker's watching us. They arm themselves with those space guns.
Yeah, but Andy warns them, do not shoot. Because we are on the bottom level of the ship. So if that acid blood breaks through, we're fucked.
It's done.
We're all done.
It's done so. But they're going to use the guns just as, like, an intimidation tactic.
He's like, we're hoping that it won't attack us head on.
Yeah, maybe. He's like, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know. We just have to try and be smarter than this fucking thing.
So they continue down the ship until they discover a long chamber full of xenomorph cocoons. Like a big nest. It reminded me of the inside of a bee's nest.
Yes.
Like the inner workings of...
Honeycomb?
Of a honeycomb.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's all these, like, bodies. Very giving the deleted scene from the first movie that's in the
Which is
extended
my favorite
cut.
scene.
Yeah. All the...
That's why I always
cocoon
recommend if you're
people.
going to watch it, if you're going to watch the original Alien, watch the director's cut.
The director's
Because
cut.
that scene, I think, is so important to the, like... To Ripley's character.
Ripley's character, yeah,
so
for
much.
sure. And so they're passing by all these nests, and they're like, well, maybe we should just turn around and find another way out. But then Tyler hears Dora...
Like, moaning.
Like her, like agonizing moans.
He's like, oh my god, it's Kay.
So he quickly runs back to her.
And this is a cool scene because Rain is, like, chasing after him, but also looking at the walls, and we see all these crew members
Yeah.
Like, just connected to the walls, just very...
Dead Zo.
Dead Zo. Like, they've been used as, like, nests for the face huggers and stuff.
And so they get Dora down from her nest, and she's losing a lot of blood. Like, Homegirl is not doing well. So Andy suggests they inject her with that black goo, the compound. But Rain convinces him not to, because she's like, look, we don't trust that stuff.
We only saw it work on the mouse. We don't know what this
We
is
don't
gonna be.
even fucking know, right? So as they try to leave...
Their decision now is we're going back to the planet and we're getting help. We're not even trying to escape.
We're not even trying to escape at this point. They try to leave, but they are found out by the xenomorph, who impales Tyler with its tail and snatches him up. And then it uses its tiny mouth
and bites out his
and bites him. Suddenly a swarm of aliens appear. This was cool, because I don't think at this point, at least from the alien movies I've seen, we haven't seen like a whole like army of xenomorphs.
The only one is Aliens.
At the end of Aliens.
Because there's the Queen and then all the other ones.
So this scene is almost like an homage to that, I think. Because they're all like crawling out, very scary. And Andy gets knocked over in the chaos and starts twitching out, starts tweaking. And Rain and Dora barely manage to escape in the elevator, and they leave Andy behind.
Yep.
Which Rain feels really guilty about immediately. And unable to leave him behind, she instructs Dora to go forward on her own while she goes back for Andy.
Yeah.
And she gives Dora the compound and is like, take this with you. And Dora decides to inject herself with the compound in hopes that it will heal her. Rain returns to that chamber, and she finds Andy lying there, glitching all out, and she's able to remove the chip from his neck, and he switches back to the old Andy. And with only 10 minutes until impact and a swarm of xenomorphs approaching, Rain comes up with the idea to turn off the ship's gravity.
And I like how they come up with this, because they're kind of like first at like accepting like this is the end. We are not going to make it. Yeah. And she's like, can you tell me some dad jokes to calm me down? And he says one, he's like, did I tell you about the book about zero gravity? I couldn't put it down. Mm-hmm. And then that's when they're like, holy shit, we can turn on the zero gravity. So and then the blood won't...
We can shoot it, but then the acid won't like fall down and burn through the ship.
Yeah.
It'll just kind of like float around.
Yes.
So we get this amazing scene.
This is a great scene, and this is a moment I'm like, I love this. I'm like, I love when the characters are so smart.
Because, they turn on the zero gravity, the aliens are floating around, Rain is shooting them all, she manages to shoot every single one of them that's like there in that room, and the acid is like
just floating around. She's like
floating around the room.
Okay, you need to follow me. So she grabs onto the rail. Andy like grabs onto her back, and she just kind of has to like maneuver her way through.
It's so cool.
But it's also another really like they do so good at like making you like nerve wracking.
It's a great suspenseful scene. And my favorite is there's this big puddle of goo that's like about to totally just like encapsulate her. So she very smartly fires the gun, which creates an impact, and it kind of like blasts her to the other side of the room so that she doesn't get hit by the acid. Yeah. It's so cool. It's such a smart decision. And they're able to make it to the elevator shaft, and they have to grab onto the ladder because the gravity's about to boot back on. Yeah. And Rain isn't able to grab on, and she drops her gun, and she falls down as the gravity comes on.
But then the xenomorph catches her. The xenomorph is so kind.
The xenomorph is so kind. It's so funny because she gets snatched, and you're like, oh, did someone save her? And then it's like, no, it was the alien.
Yes, it did. Well, yes. Well, yes. It's me, the alien.
It's such a funny moment.
Because she looks at it like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah. And so Andy lets the elevator itself like fall down to crush the alien, and Rain's able to kind of dodge it. But another alien pops out and gets like super close up in her face, which this is an homage, I think, to Alien 3 or Alien 2, whichever one, where the xenomorph gets real close up in Ripley's face. I think it is 2, where it's kind of drooling on her. Yeah. It's really scary. And he's about to eat her, but luckily Andy manages to find her gun and shoot the alien. Now, he says that "get away from her, you bitch" line. and I don't like it.
Because that's from Aliens, right?
Yeah, it's the iconic line that Sigourney Weaver says. And I just think it's out of character for him to say.
Yeah, because he's not really been one to swear.
And, like, there's no really context for it.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I didn't like that line. It kind of made me cringe, to be honest. It's
just a cheap throw in.
It's like the one reference back to the original series that I don't
give a shit about.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So they manage to get aboard their ship and they blast away just as the Renaissance enters the asteroid belt and gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Against Rook's attempts to route them back to the company.
Because there was a point, I don't know if we talked about it, but like when Kay's on the ship, she gets a call from Rooks and he's like, oh yeah, they died. They're all dead, so you can leave now.
Yeah, basically.
And Kay was smart and she was like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, so she just...
Keep in mind, Kay has never interacted with this character yet.
Right.
So Kay is like, what the fuck?
No. Which, thank God, because then they're able to, like, reroute the ship to Yavaga.
Yes.
And they're basically like, fuck you, Rook.
Everything's good. Rain puts Kay into cryostasis.
Mm-hmm. And she gives Andy a new directive. She says, do what's best for us.
Because his whole directive used to be do what's best for Rain.
Yeah.
And so I like it because you actually hear his brain, like his like system rebooting and changing it. And he's like, okay.
Done.
Good.
Yeah. And it's sweet because she's like, no, at this point, like...
Because he's even
you are family to me.
He's like, what are we going to do when we get to Yavaga? I can't go. And she's like, you're coming with me. I'm not letting you leave.
Figure it out. Yeah. So it's sweet. And she puts Kay in the cryopod, but something is very wrong. The, like, alarm starts beeping, and so she opens up the cryopod. And Dora is twitching.
She's giving birth.
Tweaking. She's giving birth, yes. But she's not giving birth to no human baby.
Mm-mm. It's like this weird little pod thing. And Kay is like freaking out. She's like, get that away from me. And you know that Rain's initial reaction is, I'm throwing this thing off this fucking ship. So she's running, and then it like she has it like swaddled in a cloth, and then it burns her. So she drops it.
It's full of acid. Yeah.
And the little pod opens up, and there's like a little baby in it,
like humanoid.
And she's like,
weird. What the fuck? Okay, yeah, this was so cool. You know why? Because it reminds me again of the first Alien. How after she gets off of that ship, like Sigourney, she was like, okay, we're all good. And then you realize the alien is still on that ship with her. And so it's a whole twist of like, oh no, it's not over yet.
Yeah.
That's what
this is a really good homage to that whole ending sequence.
Fake out. Yeah, it's so fun. So there's this weird baby looking thing, but the acid is causing a hole
and it falls into the like load that can be like detached from the ship. So she's like, okay, I'm going to detach it. I'm going to get rid of it.
Yeah. And so Rain travels down, but she finds the empty shell lying there. And it just has the acid.
Like a pool of acid in it.
Yeah. And we
so
see...
where's this little monster?
Like, and it's cool because, like, the lightning's flashing. Or the alarm...
Yeah.
Whatever, the lights are flashing. And you can quickly see behind her when the light flashes on, something is, like, crawling up the ladder behind her. Okay, so Andy wakes to find Dora freaking out. And then we get my favorite shot in the movie. He turns and he sees in the distance, and then it like zooms a little closer, this fully grown humanoid
xenomorph hybrid.
And it looks fucking terrifying. It's
like crawling on all
fours towards him. It's so fucking freaky looking, and it was practical.
Yeah,
they cast this actor who has like his proportions are very long and lanky,
long limbs.
And he's very tall, so it just is so convincing. And it also looks like the engineers from Prometheus. Like it's bald, it's pale white, all
it's
blacked
such a
out
scary
eyes,
monster,
just like expressionless face. And it's got, like, sharp teeth. Ooh! It's so cool. And it starts to crawl toward Andy. And it attacks him. And then it gets up in Dora's face. And it has a little tiny mouth. But it's, like, kind of a snake or like a tentacle.
Yeah.
It's less like structural than the xenomorphs, more organic, but it begins to eat at her face.
And she pushes it away, and then like it cuts away. So we're like, oh well, she's done for now.
She's toast. I know, diva down.
Diva down. She was my diva of this movie.
She was absolutely my diva.
She went fucking through it.
I loved this performance from Dora.
It's so good.
It makes this movie. And like the main girl, Rain, she's good.
Great. She's great. But I mean,
but
this girl
Dora ate her up. Dora ate her up so hard, and I'll never forget that scream. It was so good. Gagged me, truly. Then Rain appears and tries to shoot. She's out of ammo. So she busts open a tank of that liquid nitrogen, like temperature controlled shit, to scare it off, and the ship starts to get overtaken.
It's like it went out of its autopilot for some reason.
And the cold air or liquid nitrogen, whatever it is, starts to overcome the room, and so she's starting to freeze to death. So she very quickly has to put on a cryo suit. And she's able to get it on, and like she's not going to freeze to death.
And this is very similar to the scene of like when Ripley's putting on her suit, like that suspense,
Yes.
like oh my god,
Yes.
what's going to happen?
Because I'm pretty sure, wasn't she like Ripley was using that like liquid nitrogen stuff in that movie to like attack the xenomorph?
Yeah, to like I think to like lead it away or
lead
something.
it away or something. I can't really remember, but yeah. So it's all very cool homages to that, and she realizes that she has to activate 4 huge levers.
She has to like unlatch it basically.
To unlatch. And the humanoid creature is slowly approaching behind her, but she manages to get all but one lever pulled before the creature like appears behind her.
And it pushes her down.
Yeah, knocks her away.
And her like she's connected to like a like tether, like she tethered herself like a rope so that
like a
when,
chain thing.
So that when it does pop off, she can just climb up and get back into the ship, no problem.
She very smartly, she sees that like little shell thing full of acid from when it was birthed, and she flips it over
so that it burns a hole
in the ship and causes like this blast, and everything starts getting sucked out of the ship.
And the sound design here is so good because there would be literally no sound.
Yeah, like up close, like the close-up shots of her, there's like
you
all
can
this
hear her
noise
breathing
going
because she's
on.
in her like suit, but it's like everything outside there's zero noise. And
Yeah, all of the
such great
exterior
fucking sound
shots
design.
of the ship are just like purely
Dead silent.
quiet. Yeah, and she
starts to climb up, and then it pop. This is such a good scare. It pops up like right in front of her, and it's using its little tongue to try and break open like her helmet.
spacesuit. Yeah, luckily she manages to use the chain that she's hooked up to pull the 4th lever.
Because she notices it's using its tail to keep itself latched onto the ship. Mm-hmm. So she uses the chain and pulls it, and it pulls the final lever, and so then it falls off.
The rest of the hatch opens and sends the creature to be destroyed by the asteroid belt. And she goes, "Die, motherfucker," which I liked. She makes her way back onto the ship. She places herself and Andy into cryosleep. And the ship begins its journey towards Yavaga. And we hear her, like, final testimony, her log, cryosleep log, which is exactly how the first movie ended. With Ripley giving hers. And the end.
The end. Great movie.
Very fun.
Fun movie.
Yeah.
I think the suspense is so good in every scene. I think the twist at the end I was not expecting that. I truly was like, oh, they made it.
Truly horrifying.
Like, giving birth to this alien hybrid.
Yeah. And again, Dora.
She's so good.
Isabela Merced. You
Amazing.
are an icon.
Scream queen. She is a scream queen.
You are a scream queen. Do more horror. We need you.
Yes.
I need to hear that scream again. It was so good. Okay, girl. So that's Alien Romulus.
Alien Romulus.
That was a fun one. All right. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Let's Scream. We hope you had a fun time with us aboard the Renaissance ship, learning even more about the alien. Please remember to follow the pod, like the pod, and leave a glowing review of the pod, of course. You can also send us movie requests for future episodes. You can follow me at Parker_Will_C on Instagram.
And you can follow me at StevieNash95 on Instagram. And we also have our podcast on all social medias at Let's Scream Pod.
And until next time, this has been
Let's Scream. Bye.